No.
Not yet.
Elaine Lesser's in the house.
Hey, Joyce. Joyce, do you have the poem, the prayer? Can you hear me now, Sandra? Lawson? Hey, Teresa.
So this is you, but I'm not sure why.
Hey, Sandra Lawson is there too.
This is your rabbi.
She is, yeah. It's another rabbi.
Hey, Jeremy. Meryl, so good to see you.
Good to see you.
Hi, Josh. We're on a field trip.
Yeah, well,
Welcome, y'all are unmuted, so you can say hello to each other right now if you want to.
Hooray. Hi, Sandra also.
Hi, Mackenzie and
Hi,
Ruben.
Sandra.
Hello, Ariella.
She's over here now.
Yeah.
Sharon, good to see you. Howard, did you get my phone message?
Sharon.
Hi, Sandra.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
Howard, I left you a message on your cell phone.
oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Knowing this is the first time any of us have done this, I'm not.
They're not hearing you.
Oh, we can. But it's good. I'm so glad you've joined us. Faith, good to see you.
Hi, Rabbi. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good, good. It's good to
Yes.
see you. It's good to
Josh,
see
I
you.
got it. Thank you.
It's good to see you. It's been a while.
It's been a long time. Too long.
Hello, Vicky.
So I can see.
So while people are still gathering, you are someone who would like to say someone's name during Kaddish. Put your name in the chat and Haley will know to unmute you when it's time for Kaddish. And if you have a Siddur, you may want to get a Siddur. Those of you who are going to light candles with us, just make sure you have those candles.
It's on.
People seem to be coming and going.
I went ahead and muted everyone.
Gotcha. Great.
Yai dai yai yai dai 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 yai yai dai yai dai yai dai yai dai yai dai yai yai dai yai dai yai
Yeah.
you have your Shabbat candles, please light them with me. We bring this holy light into us. In the prayer, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Amen.
Good Shabbos, everybody. I want to echo what Vicky put in the chat, which is, I look forward to this every week as well. I miss seeing so many of you. And I also recognize that in a lot of ways, it is, there are some of you I wouldn't get to see that I love, but who are around the world. And so it is so great to have us gathering. And it really is just this incredibly sweet moment. And I think days like today, May 1st, for here in Atlanta, Georgia, when our governor has opened up things more fully, and we have no clear either state or national leadership. And so we're relying on other people to be the moral, ethical, and public health voices. I'm grateful that the Reconstructionist movement today released some guidelines that will help us as a community make decisions going forward. And we'll begin sharing that with all of you. Today's May 1st, and so in many communities and cultures, it's a day to celebrate spring and the beauty around us that is abundant, that brings in such a sweet joy, which is a great way to think about how we enter Shabbat into the garden. And it's also for a community that cares about justice. Today is International Workers' Day, and to remember the rights of workers and how we can empower and recognize our interconnectedness, that a living wage is needed and that we need to ensure that people have what they need in this moment to survive and to be safe. And then I especially want to say as we're beginning that we have many wonderful surprises in our Shabbat service for you. So I can't wait to get started. And one of them is a very good friend that I made back in November at a kind of convening called the Hatch Experience. It is a convening who wants to bring people who have a view, a vision to hatch a better world, and bring thinkers and dreamers and planners of all different kinds. And for me, where I felt gravitated towards most was the artists. And through our conversations, arts and music and poetry was woven throughout. And I got to meet the Jewish singer-songwriter Lia Rose, who will be joining us. And I'll share a little bit more about her. And then for a whole variety of reasons that I will say later, I put my Devar aside because it can keep for another week or two. And I'm gonna invite Michelle Major when she is able to join us, who works for the city of Atlanta as the director of their immigrants program, of our immigration program, to speak about some urgency in this moment. And her parents are beloved members of our community. We welcome them. Her brother's here with us tonight as well. And so we just have a lot of wonderful ways to sweeten Shabbat and to also light our spiritual fire to keep us going. And so I'm gonna invite us to move into Shalom Aleichem, which when we finish singing Shalom Aleichem, we will go into breakout rooms. And if you don't know the people in your breakout rooms, take a moment, introduce yourselves, welcome each other, wish each other Shabbat Shalom. and share something that has been profoundly moving for you this week. And then we will come back together. And again, for folks who have just joined us, if you need to put a name because you would like to say Kaddish, the prayer for remembering a loved one, please put that name and your name in the chat so we know to unmute you. I'm gonna invite Gayanne to
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamalachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamalachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Bachem Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon Melech Malachem Lachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hu Nile Shalom Malachi Shalom Malachi Elyon Melech Malchei Hamalachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hu Nile Shalom Malachi Shalom Malachi Elyon Melech Malchei Hamalachim HaKadosh Sechem L'Shalom Malachi Shalom Malachi Elyon Melech Malachem Lachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We will join each other briefly as we say goodbye for a moment.
Can you see me or hear me? This is Mark. This is Mark. Let me know if you can hear me. I see an X over the side.
Oh, the cheese is almost off. Give it another 2 minutes.
I see other names, but I don't see my name or hear me. This is Mark Feikenoff.
Shalom.
I'm starting to see other things. Beautiful people. Can you hear me? Says Julie.
Have you joined a room? You need to join the waiting room.
I'll stay as long as you let me. I don't want to bother confuse things.
I will let you back in.
I have no idea what's going on.
Just give it a couple of minutes. You're not in a chat room, so
Keep trying.
Our colleague and friend Anderson Cooper is the proud father of a baby boy. Wyatt Morgan Cooper was born Monday, weighing a healthy 1 and 2 ounce. Anderson's baby announcement last night, thanking the surrogate who carried Wyatt and honoring his late parents. Named after my dad, who died when I was 2 years old. I hope I can be as good a dad as he was. My son's name is Morgan, which is a family name on my mom's side. I know my mom and dad like the name Morgan because while I was going through the things recently, I kept.
It says that you can.
Yeah, talk to some of the neighbors.
I think I'm seeing my study.
I have no idea.
And on the left.
I think this is looking at my study.
And the woman on the left, right there. I got that. The woman in the white band was saying, "Oh, I don't think it's a hoax." I said, "Let me tell you about that. I've got a cousin who's 55 who just died from it. Got a niece who is back in the hospital the second time with a lung machine.
Can you see me?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Mark.
We hear you, Mark.
So
Where'd you go?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Hi, this is Ken and Judy. We're here in Connecticut.
Why can't I?
Hi, Jim and Judy in Connecticut. I hear you. I don't see you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
This is
Oh,
Mark
I know.
from
Hold on.
Ohio.
Now our video's on. There we are.
There we are.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for letting us join you tonight.
Welcome,
I see
everyone.
your faces, but I don't hear anyone.
hey, everybody.
Schwartz.
Mark, look at your look on your computer to your microphone and see if it will. Yeah. Help.
Cynthia.
Welcome back. I hope you all had some good connections with one another. We're going to be moving into the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat now. And there are 7 Psalms of creation that can be done in Kabbalat Shabbat. Tonight we'll do some of those, not all of those. And these Psalms that I've picked for tonight all have some sort of theme of joy and being thankful and being connected to the natural world, particularly that the seas roar or the seas are resounding. And it's not unusual for me to be drawn towards the nature text, but I think that I want to invite all of us to really sink into that place we've been focusing on lately in services, like with Will bringing his song Beauty to us, that we're really allowing ourselves to feel the presence of nature as the strong support it's giving us in times that are uncertain and difficult, challenging, and also when on the days that we're filled with grief. For Kabbalat Shabbat is a time where we can, as much as we're able, to access the joy. And so also I just want you to know that this is May 1. It would have been a band service if we had gathered in person, but we have found a way to be present with you tonight. So we're going to begin with L'chuna Ranana. L'chuna Ranana L'Adonai Naria Letzor Yishenu Nekadema Benav Betoda Bizmirot Narialo Yaidadai 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 l'Adonai shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo. Basru miyom leyom Yeshuato.
One, two, three.
Here am I, Milo. Here am I, Milo. Tenawe Oshvima. Here am I, Milo. Here am I, Milo. Here am I, Milo. Tenawe Oshvima. Here am I.
So I hope that was a nice warm up for our entry into welcoming the Shabbos bride. The Chadodi is found on page 41 if you have a Siddur. And if you don't, we're going to put the words up on the side. We're only doing an abbreviated version tonight. Lechadodi likrakala yadadai 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 pene Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi likrakala yadadai 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 pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamar bezachor bedibor echad. Ishmi'anu el ham yuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad Hashem u'tiferet ve'li'tila hey Adodi likratala yadadai 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 pene Shabbat nekabela lecha Shabbat nekabela itoreri ki baorekumi uri shir daberi kevod Adonai alach nikla hele chadodi likrat kala yadada 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 pene Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala yadada 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 pene Shabbat nekabela yamin usmo tifrotzi ve'et Adonai taritzi al yad ish ben partzi benis mechavena Rabbi nikla hey dodi likrat kala yadada 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 ben Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala yadada 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 ben Shabbat nekabela boi v'shalom ateret bala gam v'simcha u'tzola chok emunei am segula boi chala lechadodi likrat kala yadada 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 pene Shabbat nekabela lechadodi likrat kala yadada 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 pene Shabbat nekabela.
Hey.
Yeah.
So as we begin to prepare for Ma'ariv, we stand for those who wish. For those who want to continue to sit, please do as is comfortable. But we find the Chatzi Kaddish on page 55. Yikadah v'yikadash shemei Rabba. Yama divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayedecho beit Yisrael. Bagala bagala uvizman kahariv v'meru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbo mevorach ve'olam le'omei amaya yiparach. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'pa'ar v'tramam v'yitnaseh v'tadar v'talev v'tadlav shmei l'kudesha rechu v'yela min kol birchata v'shirata tushvechata v'nechemata da'amihiram be'alma v'meru amen. I'm going to invite us just to take a moment, a breath. Invite a sense of what has blessed us this week to fill us up in this moment. As we extend our blessing to the source of life and to each other, and we let this blessing flow and cycle, binding us together in a community of blessing. Ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da. Barechu et Adonai. Barechu et Adonai, HaMevorach, HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. To invite us to be seated, I think I can say that I prefer by far Sarah's violin to my chanting of the end of that. I'm missing your violin. As we move into the blessings before the Shema, want to, and kind of thinking of this idea of being community of blessing, I really think that the ways that we kind of interconnect and weave together are that blessing, that we get to kind of stand in that place. And so to have had the opportunity to meet some extraordinary change makers back in November and to find them impacting my life and opportunities now is really important. And Lia Rose was one of the people that I met whose music really touched me. When I heard it, there was a sweetness and a kindness. And just to tell you a little bit about her, she's out in San Francisco on the West Coast. She creates music and tours with projects focused on making a positive impact. She writes songs that are intensely honest and at times unmistakably autobiographical. And she also plays with two other bands. And one of them, Built for Sea, is a duo whose aims are sharply focused on social justice. And so I felt like this opportunity to have reconnected with her, to invite her to Shabbat services, felt really special. And she shared with me a song that she just released called The Great Divide, which is an earth-focused song that, if you listen closely, seems to be an exact adaptation of an alternative to Asher Bivaro, with its marking of liminal time, of day moving into night to night moving into day. This was a song that was written by folk singer Kate Wolf, Zichronah Livracha, may her memory be a blessing. And this was said about Kate Wolf, that there was a humanity in her singing, a generosity of spirit that never failed to move me. With Kate, the message was always love, always. I never met a warmer-hearted person than Kate Wolf. And that was Tom Paxton who said that. And I have to say that those words reminded me of Lia. And so I'm not surprised that she found this song and that I want to invite her to sing it for us this evening.
Thank you.
I've been walking in my sleep and counting troubles instead of counting sheep. Where the years went, I can't say. I just turned around and they've gone away. And I've been sifting through the layers of dusty books and faded papers that tell a story I used to know. It was one that happened so long ago. It's gone away. And yesterday, now I find myself on the mountainside. It's where the rivers change direction across the great divide. Now I heard the owl calling softly as the night was falling. with a question, and I replied, but he's gone across the borderline. He's gone away in yesterday. Now I find myself on the mountainside. It's where the rivers change direction across the great divide. The finest hour that I have seen is the one that comes between the edge of night and the break of day. It's when the darkness rolls away. It's gone away in yesterday. Now I find myself on the mountainside. It's where the rivers change direction across the great divide.
Ahavat Olam is on page 63. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Chavta Torah Mitzvot Chukim Umishpatim Otanu Limadeta Al Kein Adonai Eloheinu B'Shochveinu U'B'Chumeinu Nasiach B'Chukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה. ואהבתך לא תצור ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema is on page 65. Take a moment to really drop into both the function and the focus of listening and the expansion towards really bringing in oneness. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Yavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha v'chol mehotecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha yom alevavecha v'shinatam levavecha v'dibarta bam v'shiticha b'techa ובלתך בדרך, ושוכבך וחומך, וקשרתם לאות על יהודיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, ובתכבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך. Yichamocha,
Ba'elim Adonai,
Ba'elim Adonai,
Mi kamocha,
Mi chamocha,
Neda ba'kodesh,
Nida Bakodesh,
Nora,
Nora,
Tehilot,
Hilo,
Oseh,
Ose, Ere,
Malchutecha,
Malchutecha,
Ba'uvanecha,
Ra'uvanecha, Bokeayam,
Moshe u'Miriam,
Lifnei Moshe ve'Miriam,
Zeli,
Eli,
Anu ve'amu,
Anu ve'amu,
Adonai Imlod,
Adonai Yimlo,
Ve'olam va'ed,
Ve'olam va'ed,
Baruch
Baruch
Adonai,
Adonai,
God,
God,
Yisrael.
Israel.
So in a moment, we'll be chanting the Hashkivenu, our prayer that asks for a sense of protection. And on the page on Facebook that I've created where clergy have been coming together, a number of people who have shared that they are either immunocompromised or that they are clergy who are over 65 have begun to express their nervousness as different states begin to open up. And listening and witnessing their stories in terms of how they balance their responsibility to their communities, their leadership has been very poignant. And one of the things that I said to them, and I think about it for all of us here in Georgia, is that if I could, I would want to wrap all of you in the Sukkot Shalom, in this canopy of peace and wholeness. That we have health, that we have protection, that we have a sense of connection. Our double Torah portion speaks about that our understanding of holiness is that it's a reflection of God being holy, and so we are holy. And we are holy because God is holy. And that how we do that is by really creating containers that stand for one another's protection and care. And that we do our best to learn how not to leave anybody behind. I know that even we are not always perfect at that ourselves, and it's something that we have to strive for. And so tonight I've asked Joyce Kennard, before we chant the Hashkivenu, to read this prayer that was written by Rabbi Naomi Levy, a prayer of hope during this pandemic. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. We are frightened, God, worried for our loved ones, worried for our world. Helpless and confused, we turn to you, seeking comfort, faith, and hope. Teach us, God, to turn our panic into patience and our fear into acts of kindness and support. Our strong must watch out for our weak. Our young must take care of our old. Help each one of us to do our part to halt the spread of this virus. Send strength and courage to all who are on the front lines of this pandemic. Fortify them with the full force of their healing powers. Send wisdom and insight to the scientists working across the world to discover healing treatments. Bless their efforts, God. Fill our leaders with the wisdom and the courage to choose wisely and act quickly. Help us, God, to see that we are one world, one people who will rise above this pandemic together. Send us health, God. Watch over us. Grace us with your love. Bless us with your healing light. Hear us, God. Heal us, God. Amen.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו.
So friends, we're going to take a moment of silence to collect our thoughts. For those of you who want to pray a traditional Amidah, this would be the time to do so. And after we emerge from our silence, we will seek for healing. And I'll invite folks to add names into the chat for that prayer. Just take a moment and center yourselves. Invite that sense of the canopy of wholeness, uniting all of us, but we are still under that one canopy. Amen. And I want to say that no matter how distant we are, that one canopy gives me a sense of how I can touch into community when I sometimes feel like it is far away. And it helps me know that our prayers for healing have the power to reach out beyond our homes and where we're sheltering. And so I want to invite us to say the names or type the names of those that we pray a refuah shlema, a healing of body, of mind, and of spirit. And as you add those names, I will read the names in our community, which is Richard Adler, Hillary Bauer, Joseph Beckman, Loretta Bernstein, Joan Bettman, Bob Bloomfield, Murray Chass, Nefesh Chaya, Judy Cohen, Richard Cohen, Larry Durish, Estelle Green, Sylvia Gross, Jerry Falcon, Larry Huntsberry, Matthew Kantrowitz, Chris Kaczynski, Mark Kopin, Arnie Korfine, Michael Lappin, Elaine Levin, Bob Levy, Robin Levy, Paulette LaCourciere, Tommy Macon, Melissa Macha, Esther Myers, Sharon Miller, Sarah Newmark, Aylin Olson, Dory Perling, Michael Perling, Ethan Post, Alan Rosen, Gary Rosenthal, Judy Roth, Harris Rotman, Cheryl Siegel, Clifford Greenfield, David Singer, Oren Staple Wax, Elliot Stryker, Maria Talenti, Eve Turner, Dolly Wax, Shirley Weiss, Aline Trudy White, Phil Whiting, John Witherspoon, Sarah Dardick, Beth Ann Bootycant, Sherry Cornett, Iris Bulls, Tom Reich, and Deborah Krotenberg.
This is call and response. Mi shebera avotenu מקור החיים לאמותינו הוא יברך וירפא את החולים, את החולים מקור החיים לאמותינו הוא יברך וירפא את החולים, את החולים
We pray for their healing indeed. Have a moment for some words of justice Torah tonight. I want to say that I was really moved by the board in our decision to begin to look at what our mission says and to see how in this moment we were responding to our mission. And as we read through that mission, the thing that we began to understand is that we, in many ways, moved very quickly to make sure that we had what I would call spiritual scaffolding in place, that we reached out to members who were most vulnerable, that we started weaving and creating community and adapting pretty quickly, I think. But what stood out for us is that maybe that's emphasized, this standing out if you can hear the motorcycle behind me. What stood out was our call for social justice. And so we began to wonder as a board if now that there is some stability, even as things open up, that we as a community might begin to take steps forward in acting. And so we, a small group of people, met today to begin to think about this. And in that conversation, we invited Lily Brent from Repair the World and In it, she mentioned my good friend and good friend to this community and daughter of our members, Howard and Patty Major, Michelle Major, over at the city's office. And Lily began to talk about the dire situation of undocumented immigrants here in Atlanta who are starving and who cannot access our food pantries in pretty much any kind of concrete way. So I got on the phone with Michelle, and what I love about Michelle, there are many things I love about Michelle, but what I love about Michelle is that in our passion and talking, I thought, could you just come on and let our community know some of the story that we aren't hearing in the news? And so if you don't know Michelle, let me just tell you a little bit about her before I hand it over. She serves as the founding director of the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs for the city of Atlanta. She has spanned 2 mayoral administrations, and she leads policy and programmatic initiatives that as they relate to the public safety, civic engagement, and economic empowerment. These initiatives include expanding access to legal services for immigrants at risk of deportation, a fair housing initiative, and language access and cultural competency training for all City of Atlanta employees. And one of the things that I'm proud of what she's done as a part of this mayor's administration, she worked with Mayor Bottoms in criminal justice reform and specifically led the landmark decision to end immigrant detention in the city of Atlanta, and firmly supports ending detention of nonviolent migrants worldwide. And so there's much more that I can say. She's brilliant, she's passionate, she's kind and thoughtful, and she's part of our Atlanta Jewish community. And so I wanted to invite her to speak about what can be done. What is the Atlanta Jewish community doing at this moment, if anything? And so we're gonna invite her to share some words, and I'll wrap it up with a little Torah.
Thank you, Josh, for such a warm welcome. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I was so delighted to have Josh reach out to me today to talk about the one thing that I love to talk about, which is immigration and immigration specifically in Atlanta. And I'd like to take the time this evening to talk to you a little bit about what we're hearing in our office, what we're seeing as a faith response, and what we could potentially see as a Jewish response. And I'm sure many of you have been thinking about the role of the Jewish community in all of this and what is our calling as Jews, and certainly as Jews who are a part of CBH, we have such a strong calling to justice in the world. And when Josh and I were talking about this and talking about social justice, I told him that this has gone beyond social justice. This is truly a humanitarian crisis on our shores. And so I can tell you a little bit about what we're seeing, what we're hearing from our community members, and why COVID makes this really different than other things that we see. Primarily because, as we're all here on our various computers or tablets this evening, we can't see this poverty with our own eyes. And in Atlanta, we don't often see poverty as part of our day-to-day lives, and COVID makes this even more complicated, and also the situation is all the more extreme. So what our office has done and how we've gotten a lot of information about what people face is that at the onset of COVID, so this was about 7.5 weeks ago, we set up a hotline in Spanish for residents to call with any questions that they may have, to get them connected with any kind of resources, and really hear what people's most acute needs were. And to this day, we have received over 1,000 phone calls, and everyone says the same thing. They ask the governor, well, first they say, the governor told me I had to stay at home. The governor closed my place of work. The mayor told me I have to stay at home. The mayor closed my work. How do I feed my children? How do I pay my rent? These are people who will receive no benefits from the CARES Act. There's no $600 a week check. There's no stipend. There's no opportunity to apply for unemployment, even though these people pay taxes and have paid into the unemployment system for most of their working life. And these are people that also are denied public benefits in the state of Georgia. And because the SNAP, the food stamp process in Georgia, is so backed up and kind of so broken at this point. People who don't speak English do not even have access to food stamps, so the public benefits that they are rightfully entitled to. So this really is a crisis unlike anything that I have really ever seen. I did some relief on Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, and this is so similar. And I find myself having such similar reactions and experiences that I had then that I do now. And so we are seeing these two main issues around people being able to stay in their homes and evictions and eviction protections, which we do a lot of work on in my office, but then also this issue around food security. And there are a few things that are happening right now. And I think for those of us who are on social media, we see certain things going on. There are efforts that are happening, but the efforts are not consistent. And we may see that the schools are doing some food deliveries here, or that a church or an organization is doing some sort of food pantry there. But there are really acute challenges with all of these pieces, even with the food bank in Atlanta. I think people think like, oh, well, we just make a referral to the food bank. The food bank is so, I would say prior to this, the food bank couldn't even serve the people that were already in need. And now that we have so many more people in need, the food bank can't even begin to start to meet those needs, even through all of their subsidiaries. Another issue with a lot of organizations is that they are asking for social security numbers, which undocumented immigrants don't have. So we're seeing even people with the best intentions and organizations, and even Jewish organizations, deny people food and basic services that they are in fact in desperate need of. And so that is the consistent story that we're hearing over and over again. And it's really interesting. I got a message from my aunt today. This is after I spoke with Josh. And it was a photograph of my great-grandfather's naturalization certificate that she must have found. She was doing her COVID cleaning that we're all doing. It was my great-grandfather's naturalization certificate from Atlanta. And it had his address, which was 3000 Mangum Street, right downtown. It had my grandfather listed, it had one of my great aunts listed as his dependents underneath him. And I mean, it was so serendipitous. I don't know if serendipitous is quite the right word, but it was certainly striking that this being the Torah portion of this week, that this conversation that I had with Josh earlier today, and that all of us collectively as a Jewish community are thinking, what do we do now? And that this was something for, I would imagine, most of us here this evening. The immigrant experience is very close and very personal to our own family's experiences in the United States. And when I saw this certificate, and I looked at it and I said, oh my God, like up until this point, then as he was 54 years old, that he and my grandparents, or and all of my aunts, were this to happen now, would be starving. And it was particularly striking and really grounded me in the urgency of the Jewish response and how we can come together as a collective and as a community now that our lives are somewhat stabilized, to really serve others and step into this crisis that really is at our doorstep. And Josh can speak a little bit more about what's happening at CBH and for ways to people to get more activated. And I'm certainly available for people who are interested in getting more activated and learning about what's happening and how people can get involved.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And
thanks, Josh.
And before I get to the question, I just wanted to add a couple things. I'll be the bad guy and say that when kind of main institutions that represent faith communities heard about this, the Muslim community was the first community to respond. The Episcopalian community has responded. The Catholic community has responded. And the Jewish community has been slow to respond. And that has been, that's what distressed me. That this week's Torah portion has what perhaps is the most central teaching of our entire tradition, according to Rabbi Akiva, which is that love your fellow human being as yourself. And so really in this moment, we have to ask, what does that mean when our normalized, what does it mean to when our neighbors are hungry? And so today, you know, what Beit Chaverim is beginning to think about, and part of what our conversation began to, you know, for us to emerge is that we're becoming aware of there are hubs that are delivering food to undocumented communities. So, you know, in relationship to that, there is this conversation of, could we possibly be a hub? And some of that will work with Michelle to better understand all of those needs of what it would be, to see if that's something that our building could be used for. And also, you know, given the enormous need that is out there versus, you know, in terms of Atlanta, we're a medium-sized community of, you know, close to 300 households. What would be the most effective way for us to help? And if you have just a few more words to kind of help us when our board starts discussing some of this on Tuesday, that would be great. And I know I can reach out to you.
Absolutely. So we are, as Josh mentioned, this is in fact true. We have been reached out to by the Muslim community. They were the first to jump in and respond by delivering groceries, by delivering meals, by jumping in and getting engaged in whatever way they possibly could. And also the Episcopal community and the Catholic community have all reached out to us independently to really get activated. And so there are some great organizations in town, some smaller organizations, a Jewish organization in particular called Repair the World that we have been working with. Lily Brent, who Josh mentioned earlier, leads that organization, and they have really sprung into action. And they mentioned that they would be able to expand some of the work that they do, but they just need the funding to do it. They were deeply moved by the plight of immigrants in Atlanta specifically, and really wanted to step in. So I think that is one organization that is really, really strong in this space, that shares the values of CBH and has been really responsive and is ready to expand their work. What I would say we really need now is, it sounds wild, but we need money to buy food. I mean, there is just not enough money in the supply chain to buy food for enough people. Unfortunately, the government is not sending money to cities to buy food for vulnerable people. So we really are relying on each other and our neighbors and our faith community in ways that is really hard to imagine, but it is what it is. And so I think that is a big piece of this, is leveraging our own resources, leveraging the resources of our neighbors and our friends. If we know people who can give, this is the time to do it. We'll get organized around the other infrastructural pieces, around how do we aggregate food, how do we disperse food, how do we identify people in need. We have a lot of that figured out, but it's this idea of getting resources to these smaller organizations that are nimble and agile and that can really work to address some of these most urgent needs is the absolute best way to get involved.
Right. And I'll just add that I understand that that looking at moving into DeKalb County where there is some urgent need might be a good match for us to think about. And so we will deepen that conversation. Just really appreciative, Michelle. I just want to, Christine Robbins asked, when I was saying that we've stabilized some, and Michelle also echoed that, what are we referring to? And I just want to say that we are all in very different places, and what stability looks like might vary from each home to each home. What I was referring to is, as a congregation, there was a lot that we were moving very quickly to put into place and to check with our most vulnerable, and that it felt like that there was some spaciousness to expand and to actually meet the need that many of you have expressed of what can I do to be helpful in this moment. And so to begin to hear the story felt like it's a match. And so if you don't feel like things have stabilized for you, that I'm not assessing that. I'm saying us as a congregation, we have some bandwidth as a staff and as a board and members to be responsive in this moment. People have been generous, and there is ways where I will respond with my discretionary fund immediately and thinking about how that might be replenished. But the board will talk about this. Mackenzie Wren and Amy Price from the board are really leading this conversation. And so we will be sure to be communicating that with you. Please, if we can give a warm thank you to Michelle for the work that she's doing and for bringing this message to us and helping us understand what's happening in this moment. Thank you, Michelle. You are muted. That's okay. Haley, if you could unmute Michelle, or Michelle, if you could unmute yourself.
I'm not allowed. Oh, I'm unmuted now. Thank
Yes.
you. I want to also quickly respond just to the stabilized piece. In my conversations with other folks in the Jewish community this week, it sounds like the first response from Federation and for others who've been doing a lot of giving in this space, that their primary concern was to stabilize Jewish institutions. And from my conversations, it sounds like those institutions are stabilized. So when we talk about Jewish giving, the first phase of it was to stabilize Jewish institutions. And now that those are stabilized, we have an opportunity to look beyond that. So Josh and I were both chatting today and thought this might be a really great avenue to move beyond what we've seen going on with these other institutions. But beyond that, I did want to offer a huge thanks to Rabbi Josh for elevating this for the entire CBH community, to your relentless dedication for doing the right thing and really stepping in to do the right thing in a time of crisis. So I'm very, very grateful to each of you. And I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Shabbat Shalom. And I think that the other thing that we can do, in terms with immediacy, is let other people know that this is happening. That there's ways that we can reach out. We are not in a silo as a Jewish community. We have many amazing partners. We have family and friends in other communities and congregations. And I think that we need to be telling this story because until this week, I was not aware of the urgency of it. And so I feel that I'm empowered to do something. So we're going to move to some announcements. I want to invite our Vice President of Communication, Bev Corfin, to bring us some announcements. Welcome, Bev. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi Josh. Shabbat Shalom and welcome to everyone. We are so glad to host so many, not only CBH members, but friends from around Atlanta and around the country to our virtual service. Special welcome to Lia Rose from San Francisco, and also to Rabbi Jeremy Schwartz and several of his congregants from Temple B'nai Israel in Willimantic, Connecticut. We're very happy to have you with us tonight. Tomorrow morning, just a few things going on at CBH. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., we invite families with young children to join us for Shabbat songs and silliness led by Reuben Haller. On Monday evening at 6 p.m., all are welcome to join us for evening meditation and chant. On Monday, I said that, Monday evening. Next Friday evening, in place of an Erev Shabbat service, Rabbi G and Jocelyn Shorvitz from Macomb will lead adult Torah service related to ritual immersion in the mikveh. Our regular daily and weekly gatherings continue in the coming week. Join us each weekday morning for mindful moments at 8:45 a.m. and finish your day with a 10-minute minyan at 8:45 p.m. The CBH board continues to meet weekly on Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. We have a whole section on the CBH website dedicated to COVID resources and response. This is where you can find links to all our public CBH Zoom gatherings, as well as links to practical and financial resources and spiritual mental health resources. Go to the CBH website, congregationbethavarim.org, and you'll see in the main navigation across the top, COVID Central. And finally, if you're able, please consider making a donation to CBH to support these offerings. We know that many people are facing a shifting financial landscape, and as some of our members need to step back from donations, we ask that other members and friends consider stepping up. Every donation helps, and again, thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Bev. Thank you so much. As an alternative to Aleinu tonight, I want to invite Lia Rose back. When we initially thought about this, she shared with me a song that she has been using for a lot of political purposes in this moment. It was part of opening up for some campaigns for a political candidate, but it really, in some ways, when I looked at the words, it started with the Talmudic phrase of if not now, when, and then she makes it her own in many ways. And Lia, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there's anything that you want to add before or after you sing this song, please do so. And I just want to say that it calls us just the way that the Aleinu does to rise to this moment and ask, what is our purpose and how will we take part in creating the world that we wish to see?
Thank you. That's beautiful. And honestly, both, yeah, I keep getting all emotional throughout this. Thank you all for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. And what Joshua, you and Michelle were just talking about is so important and so powerful. And actually, this song has been a work in progress with a good friend of mine named Ryan Harvey. He's Baltimore, Maryland. And one of the new lyrics that you're not going to hear in this version, but one of the new lyrics is, we know that actions speak louder than words. And so it's really beautiful and encouraging to hear everybody here talking about what can be done as a community, action-wise. It's so powerful. And yeah, the song's called We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For. I think a lot of folks keep hoping that somebody is just going to come and solve all our problems for us, or somehow the government's going to figure it out. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. I think it's all of us coming together and finding ways to make the world better. So thanks again for having me. This is beautiful, and I hope you like the song. All right. If not now, then when? When your children grow up, will you pass it to them? Tell them you were scared to stand up back then. If not now, then when? Is it too much to ask for a life free of hate? A place to call home and a dignified wage? Who here will fight for the world we deserve? 'Cause we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones we've been waiting for. If not us, then who will take the bold steps that we have to? When the difference will be what we do or don't do. If not us, then who? Is it too much to ask for a life free of hate? A place to call home and a dignified wage? Who here will fight for the world we deserve? 'Cause we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And if not now, then when? You're just gonna sit on the side while it happens again? After so many years of talking, my friend, if not now, then when? Is it too much to ask for a life free of hate? A place to call home and a dignified wage? Who here will fight for the world we deserve? 'Cause we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones we've been waiting for.
So amazing. Thank you. And thinking about those words of, is it too much to ask for a world without hate? reminds me as we are concluding our service, we're towards the end and saying the prayer for the end of hiding, that this week's Torah portion, sadly, while it's a double portion, one has in it some of the most beautiful teachings, and some of it has teachings that are profoundly challenging that have plagued us. Achrei Mot is a Torah portion that talks about the prohibitions against homosexuality that have been misunderstood and been misused for so long. And that to understand that LGBT people's lives are in threat, not only are we waiting to hear from the SCOTUS about their decision in terms of how we'll be treated in discrimination cases, but the Trump administration is actively seeking to roll back healthcare protections for LGBT people, the Politico reported this week. And so this is a fragile time for so many of us. And for me, it just continues to weave together our interdependence and our importance, and that it can call forth this idea of, if not who, then us. I really believe it. And I really believe that in terms of the spirit of our community, and that, one of the things that matched to me with the community that I met Lia in is this idea that justice work and music and arts and creativity are not two different silos, that they are part of the container that we weave to actually step into the kind of courage we need. And so that when we think about the prayer for the end of hiding, which Haley will put in the chat, it says we want to be our fullest creative expression, that there is this idea that for us to be truly free and to be able to act with the kind of integrity we want to in this world, that creativity is a part of it. And so I'm so heartened by our band that came together to offer such a beautiful gift to us this Shabbat, for Will and Gayanne's leadership, and for Lia Rose and many of the other guest artists that have come and may join us. And so all of this weaves together. And so for those of us who would like to, please join with me in saying this prayer. As LGBTQ Jews, we are aware of the loss of integrity that we suffer due to the pressures of the larger society. We often feel forced into a dishonest presentation of ourselves to ourselves and others. The LGBTQ individuals who feel they must pretend to be something that they are not. The Jews who feel they must be alienated from their tradition and community to enlarge their acceptance. Both are victims of a theft of identity and integrity committed by the sexual, gender identifying, or religious majority. Creator of the universe, we ask that our hiding draw to an end, that we no longer feel we have to pretend, to promise falsely, to renounce ourselves, and that our fullest creative expression as Jews and as lesbian, gay, transgender, bisexual, and queer people be among the blessings that you bestow upon us. And let us say, Amen. And so as we say Mourner's Kaddish, I'm going to invite us, as Haley begins to unmute us, those who are saying Kaddish and would like to rise, to please do so. And for you to start saying the names of those that we honor their memory with this prayer.
Steve Schwartz.
Dudley Sherman and Doris Sherman.
That we honor their memory with this prayer.
Steve Schwartz.
Silver Geurin.
Pearl Arkell, Jack Arkell.
Sherman and Doris Sherman. That we honor their memory with this prayer.
Silver Geurin.
Pearl Arkell, Jack Arkell.
Sherman and Doris Sherman.
James Stern.
Abraham Cronish.
That's right. They unmuted us so that. So how do you put the thing back on?
Please join us. Sybil would like to be unmuted, if that's possible. Yid Kadal, the Yid Shemei Rabba, V'alma divrach hirute, v'amlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, Bagalav Izman Kavi Vimru Amen. Yehesh me Rabba Mevorach Leolam Ome Almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'pa'ar v'yishramam v'yitnaseh. V'tadar v'taleh v'talal shmei dekudsha barichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehesh Rabba min Shemaya. Chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. And so as we come to the end of another Shabbat service, it really is truly wonderful to be in this community with you. Want to invite Will to close us with those words, Oseh shalom bimromav. May the one who creates peace in the heights create peace for you and me, for all the world, for all of Israel, and the entirety of all who dwell on this planet. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
I want to invite people to get up and dance to this melody if you would like.
And sing for sure.
Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Hey, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Hey, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Shabbat shalom.
Hey, good Shabbos, everybody. All muted. Feel free to.
Shabbat shalom. Wonderful to be here.
Shalom. Everybody, Shabbat
Hey, Gilbert
Shalom.
family. Good to see you.
So Ken and Judy and Josie and Mitzi and David and
girls.
Debbie.
And all our friends from Connecticut.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Nancy.
All right, thank you. How do we get off this?
Rabbi Josh saying hello.
Good night, Mark. Good night,
Shabbat shalom.
It's amazing to see you. Love.
Hey, Faith. Hey, Mike.
Margie. I brought your bird.
Mikey was singing along with everyone.
It's wonderful.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
Hello, everyone.
Faith, blessings, driving your truck.
Shalom. We'll send you warmer weather, Connecticut. Promise.
Chariot.
Hi, David.
Bye.
All right.
Good night.
Chariot, Liebowitz.
Faith. Your Faith.
By Josh.
Josh.
It's very strange. Esther.
They can't hear us.
I'm not muted.
Yes, we can. Hi, Patty.
Hi. She's my you remember meeting her, Josh, at our birthday party?
I do. We were in a breakout room together tonight.
Oh, well, also, she was there when you guys announced your engagement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See if I can.
Mikey says good Shabbos to you guys.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.
He's been singing along.
Good Shabbos.
I'm so glad you joined us.
It's been wonderful.
Very much, very much.
Good.
Yes.
We have a nightly minion at 8:45. You're always welcome.
Hi, Kate. Thank you. And Barbara was in
Bob wants to say Kaddish.
Good to see you too.
Mom, are you there?
Let's see where we.
This
part is so fun.
Mom, Shabbat Shalom.
There she is. Barbara Schwartz, my bank group.
Hi, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Hi.
Hi. Patty, you should be very proud.
Good night.
Ellen Mazer, it's good to see you. Good Shabbos.
Bye, Chuck. I like your.
Bye, John.
Hey, Esther.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I hear you beautifully, and I see all those pictures to the right of you.
I'm so glad we figured out how you can. I wasn't any. I couldn't. I could hear, but nobody could hear me. I'm so happy this is working.
I'm so glad you're joining.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
This is my bird, Mikey. Can you see it? Hey, Double. Hey, Cindy. Hi. Mikey says good Shabbos to you all.
Hi, Susie.
Thank you.
Hi, Susie. Susan.
Hi.
Susan.
Hey, Susie.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Hey, Bob. Good Shabbos.
Bob. Hi.
Mikey says goodbye and good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos to you too, Margie.
Double, hey, did you get my message?
No.
I left you a message last week. I love and miss you guys.
We miss you too. We love both of you too also.
Thank you. I love the videos of the baby.
Thank you.
He is so cute. Mikey's just a chatterbox tonight.
Tweet, 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 tweet. Beautiful bird.
Yeah, thank you. Y'all have a good one. Hi, Ellen Mazer.